President Castellanos, the live stream is now in progress. You may turn on your mic and start the meeting.
Good evening and welcome to the December 18, 2024 regular board meeting of the Capistrano Unified School District. The meeting is now in session and the time is—
President Castellanos, the live stream is now in progress. You may turn.
Wow. Okay. The time is now 5:05 p.m. Okay, please note that trustees Adams, Castellanos, Davis, and Zollinger were sworn in prior to the start of tonight's meeting by Superintendent Chris Brown. Ms. Hayes, please call the roll.
Trustee Adams. Here. Trustee Bullicus.
Here.
Trustee Castellanos.
Here.
Trustee Davis. Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Pritchard is absent. Trustee Zollinger.
Here. Okay, Ms. Hayes, before the board recesses closed session, are there any closed session speakers?
There are none.
Okay. The board will now recess to closed session to address the following agenda items. A, student expulsion, 3 cases. Student readmissions, 5 cases. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure litigation, 2 cases. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, 1 case. Conference with labor negotiators, CUEA, CSEA, Teamsters, CUMA, and unrepresented employees. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 3 cases. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, 2 cases. Public employee employment appointment, interim principal TK through 8 school, employee dismissal, discipline dismissal release, 1 case. The board will now recess to closed session. Thank you.
President Castellanos, the live stream is now in progress. You may turn on your mic and open the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Good evening and welcome to the December 18th, 2024 regular board meeting of the Capistrano Unified School District. The meeting is now in session and the time is 7:03 p.m. I'd like to welcome two newly elected trustees to the board this evening, Trustee Jennifer Adnams and Trustee Lisa Zollinger, along with two trustees elected to the board for another 4 years, myself and Trustee Davis. All four trustees were sworn in. All four trustees were sworn in prior to the start of tonight's meeting by Superintendent Chris Brown. Please note that Spanish interpreters are available to anyone who needs one, and they are in the back of the room. Oral communication is an opportunity for the public to comment on issues that are not on tonight's agenda. Per board policy, the total time allotted for oral communication is 20 minutes, with a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. The per speaker time may be less if there are a large number of speakers. Speaker cards for oral communication will be accepted until the oral communication portion of the meeting has begun. Under California law, board members cannot respond to non-agenda oral communication comments. We would like to note that while the public has the right to speak, the district does not condone speech that is perceived to be hateful or discriminatory. As a reminder, per board policy 9323, meeting conduct, requests to address the Board of Trustees on agenda items will be accepted only until 30 minutes after the start of open session. If there are any students here that are registered to speak this evening, they will be heard first before any adult speaker. The purpose of a school or school district is to teach in addition to typical academic subjects. We want to teach young people appropriate behavior and respect for points of view. Our students are watching and listening to us tonight. We appreciate your support tonight in modeling respectful, productive public discourse for our public and community. Okay, this evening is our board reorg meeting. So the board will reorganize to elect a new president, a vice president, and clerk. The process is completed annually in the December per board policy. During the reorg, the current officers remain in their duties until new officers are elected by their peers. All right, at this time, Ms. Hayes, will you please call the roll?
Student Board Member Baranda.
Here.
Trustee Adnams.
Here.
Trustee Bullicus.
Here.
Trustee Castellanos.
Here.
Trustee Davis.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Pritchard is absent. Trustee Zollinger.
Here. Okay, thank you. Tonight, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Nathan Zollinger. Come up to the podium. Yeah.
All right, this is fun. All right, ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize the superintendent, Chris Brown.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's time for our public ceremonial oath of office. So at this time, I would like to call to the podium in the front Trustee Jennifer Adnams, and joining Jennifer this evening are her husband Craig, son Jacob, and Pastor John Christ, who will be swearing her in this evening. Happily.
Sure. This is awesome. All right, please repeat after me. I, Jennifer Adams, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith
bear true faith,
and allegiance
allegiance,
to the Constitution
Constitution
of the United States
the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of California,
of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
Take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Now I would like to call to the podium trustee Lisa Zollinger. Joining Lisa this evening are her husband Josh, her brother Rob, son Nathan, daughters Janie, Lily, and Annie, who will be swearing her in.
Hey, repeat after me. I, Lisa Zollinger,
I, Lisa Zollinger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
Take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon
discharge the duties upon
which I am about to enter.
about to enter.
Okay, trustees, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Okay, moved by trustee Davis, second
Second?
by trustee Bullockis. Okay, Ms. Hayes, please call the roll.
Student Board Member Brando.
Aye.
Trustee Adnams.
Aye.
Trustee Bullockis.
Aye.
Trustee Castellanos.
Aye.
Trustee Davis.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Pritchard is absent. Trustee Zollinger.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 601 by roll call vote to adopt the agenda with a preferential vote of aye from student board member Brando. All right, at this time, Ms. Hayes, will you read the report from closed session?
On agenda items A1 through A3, trustees voted 6-0-1 to approve staff recommendations on the following cases. Case number 2025, 006, 007, and 008. On agenda items B1 through B5, trustees voted 6-0-1 to approve staff recommendation on the following cases. Case numbers 2024006, case 007, case 010, case 016, and case 013. On agenda item 3C, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, no reportable action. On agenda item 3D, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, no reportable action. On agenda item 3E, conference with labor negotiators, no reportable action. On agenda item 3F, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. Items F1 through F3, trustees voted 7-0 to approve staff recommendation on the following cases. ADR case number 20240610M, case number 20240822M, case number 20241113. On agenda item 3G, conference with legal counsel, existing litigations, items G1 through G2, trustees voted 7-0 to approve staff recommendation on the following cases. Case number 2024060518 and case number 2024070103. On agenda item 3H, public employee employment appointment. Trustees voted 7-0 to appoint Ms. Danielle Davis, interim principal, Arroyo Vista TK through 8 school, effective January 2nd, 2025 through June 6, 2025. On agenda item 3I, public employee discipline dismissal release, trustees voted 7-0 to approve staff recommendation on the following case, resolution number 242502C. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hayes. All right, this evening, the board will reorg to elect a new president, vice president, and clerk, and this process is completed annually in December per our board policy. During this reorganization, the current presiding board president, which is myself, I'll facilitate just the election of the board president. Okay, so at this time, I would like nomination for the office. Does not require a second, and that trustees may nominate themselves for the office. Okay, trustees? The board will make nominations for the role of board president. Following the nominations, the board will vote to elect a president effective immediately until December 2025. The newly elected president will preside over the remainder of the meeting, including elections for the VP and the clerk. Okay, any questions? Do we have any speaker cards on this item? No, okay. All right, the process. I will take all nominations in a list and then we'll vote one by one until one candidate receives more than 4 votes. At this time, I'll accept nominations for the role of president. Any trustee? Trustee Wilkes.
I am pleased to nominate trustee Lisa Davis for president.
Okay, for the record, trustee Wilkes nominated trustee Davis. Trustee Davis, do you accept the nomination for board president?
I do.
Okay, are there any other nominations for board president? Okay, seeing none, the nominations are now closed. Let's see, since there's only one nomination for president, we will now vote to confirm trustee Davis as board president. All those in favor of trustee Davis, can we do our trustee Pritchard is absent. Yeah, so true. I could do a voice vote thing. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, great. Trustee Davis is now the new board president. That carries 6-0. Okay, you can come up here. We'll move and then you're going to finish the remainder of the nominations for VP and clerk. Okay.
Is this on? I'm honored to serve as the board president this year. Thank you. Okay, now we're reorganizing the board and electing our vice president. Do we have any speaker cards on this item? We do not. Thank you. And do we have a nomination for vice president?
I nominate Judy Bullicus for vice president.
Thank you. Do we have any other nominations? Okay. Seeing we have no other nominations, I'd like to ask for a vote. Oh, trustee Bullicus, will you accept the nomination as vice president?
Yes.
Thank you. And with that, are there any other nominations? Okay. For the record, trustee Bullicus, trustee Zollinger has nominated trustee Bullicus for board president. Vice president. Exactly, trading it up. As there is but one nomination for vice president, we'll now vote to confirm trustee Bullicus as vice president. Trustees?
Aye.
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 And with that, we have a 6-0 vote, and trustee Bullicus will now be our new vice president. At this time, I have any nominations for the role of board clerk? Okay, trustee Bullicus?
I would like to nominate trustee Gila Jones.
And I will accept. You don't even have to ask me.
Perfect. Wonderful. Hearing that there's no other nominations, she has accepted this nomination. And as we have one nomination for board clerk, we'll now vote to confirm trustee Jones as board clerk. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And it passes 6-0-1. One moment, please.
I'm sorry we don't have some music on hold for you.
Perfect. On agenda item 10D, the selection of trustee participation on various committees. Do we have any speaker cards on this item? We do not. So with that, I recommend we reach a consensus on each position in order and then vote on the list of appointments as a whole. Are there any objections to this process? Seeing there's no objections, we will move on to the position for the OCSBA Political Action Group effort. It meets prior to the OCSB dinner meetings in October, January, March, and May. The 2024 assignments have been trustee Bullicus and trustee Jones. Do we have nominations for this, or would you like to continue?
I'm seeing different names posted on this.
Well, that's what my script says. Okay, well,
This is for the nominating committee.
the Orange County Committee on School District Organization. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe I skipped one. So we're gonna start here. The nomination committee on the Orange County Committee on School District Organization. One trustee and one alternate. It meets annually prior to the OCSBA dinner meeting in May. The 2024 assignment has been trustee Parham, with the alternate being trustee Hanachek. Do we have a nomination for this committee? Is there someone that would like to serve on this committee?
Maybe I can go backwards on this because I think that one question is the CSBA delegates. And although neither trustee Bullicus's term nor mine is over, our board can choose to change and either of us can resign.
Mhm.
I tend to think that the political action group should be the same two trustees. And I don't know whether you would agree with that, having some experience. And then possibly even the Committee on School District Reorganization, since that meets right prior to one of their board meetings. Just maybe to simplify things, but I don't, so perhaps we should take the CSBA delegate first?
Let me pass it over
So
to,
just clarity, I think that's a fabulous idea, trustee Jones. The CSBA, you would be electing one delegate this time. So your term, trustee Jones, would go through 2026, but the terms, it's interesting, the terms end in March. So, trustee Bullock's term is ending in March. So, whoever you choose to elect as a board, whether it's to re-elect trustee Bullock or another one, would take over, starting from March moving forward at the end of trustee Bullock's term, but you do the voting now. So, but I do agree, I think you should vote for CSBA delegates first and then backwards into the first other two.
I have a clarification question. So did we look into the number on the ADA?
We did, and we are still allotted 2 delegates.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm interested in continuing. I'm like on newly, although I was on for a year, several years ago, and I would like to continue. I love working with trustee Bullock, but I don't want to speak for her as to whether she wants to continue.
I think trustee Davis and I have been a very good team. We're making progress. We already have appointments, and I think we should continue. If
I
that
think
would
you meant
be-
me. You said Davis.
I said Davis. Sorry. I meant Jones.
We're
Um,
often confused, Lisa
yeah.
and I.
We're all team. But I think for continuity, I think we should continue. And trustee Jones has real vested interest, which inspires me in talking to legislators. And so I would like to stay on at CSBA. Yes.
thank you. We're gonna go ahead and vote at the end, once we have, is that correct? Okay, thank you. All right, and then the nominating committee, so we have a trustee and an alternate. So based on your comments, which would like to be the trustee and which would like to be the alternate? Do either of you have a preference?
I would suggest trustee Jones as the lead, and I could be the alternate. I think this is the one in the past where their meeting always conflicts with things we've
Our board meeting.
been able to attend in years.
Yeah, and I actually have been working with the Orange County School Boards Association on that. And I also think one possibility would be for one or both of us to occasionally miss a school board meeting on the night that they meet. It's not very many times per year. And I think it is worthwhile for us to have representation there. So, but I'm also talking to them about could it be a different, for the fall meetings, it's already been decided, but I think possibly in the spring, they would accommodate us to not meet on
The May meeting.
yeah. And subsequently.
Well, is that something you'd like to, I mean, that when we get to the calendar, it's something we could consider changing that date because that is something that happens on an annual basis.
Oh, just that one, yeah, and it depends on whether they have anything that comes up. I'm not sure they actually always have something. Do you know, Superintendent Brown, do they generally have something?
They do not always have something. So
Okay,
that's one of those
so-
things. It depends on if the nominating committee is being used in a given year.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think that there isn't always a topic and they just reserve the May meeting for that. Anyway,
So I recommend trustee Jones as the trustee for the nominating committee. And I would be happy to be the alternate.
Okay, so now. That's the one, right, so that's what we just approved. Okay, so now we're going back to the Political Action Committee. So as stated, trustee Bullock and trustee Jones. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the HSC committees. For City of Aliso Viejo, and the meetings are scheduled through the superintendent, and the 2025 proposed assignments are as follows. City of Aliso Viejo, trustee Castellanos and trustee Pritchard. City of Dana Point, trustee Adnams and trustee Pritchard.
City of Laguna Niguel, trustee Castellanos, trustee Jones, and trustee Pritchard. City of Mission Viejo, trustees Bollicus and trustee Jones. City of Rancho Santa Margarita, trustee Bollicus and trustee Zollinger. City of San Clemente, trustee Adnams and trustee Davis. City of San Juan Capistrano, trustees Adnams and trustee Jones. City of Ladera Ranch Civic Council, trustee Bollicus and trustee Zollinger. Any questions on that? Okay. The District Restructuring Council, the DRC, meets on an as-needed basis. The 2024 assignments was trustee Davis with an alternate being trustee Castellanos. Trustee Castellanos, would you like to continue with that?
That was my question. It didn't meet this year.
No,
Is it planning on meeting this next year? Okay, all right.
Not that I'm aware of currently.
Fine for me to sit on that committee then.
okay. Is there anyone else that has interest in that committee? A non-meeting committee? Okay. Trustee Davis and trustee Castellanos will continue. Okay, and the College and Career Advantage, we need 3 trustees. The 2024 assignments were trustee Hanatrek, trustee Parham, and trustee Pritchard, with the alternate being trustee Davis.
President Davis, I'm interested on CCA.
I am.
You're interested?
I am also.
You're also interested?
As am I.
Okay, and I'm also interested. Okay, so being that we have 4 trustees that are interested, let's just go down the line and thank you. We'll go down the line and vote on each one. Okay, so trustee Castellanos. Any, all in favor? Okay, and nays? Nay. Well, positive votes, okay, thank you. 1-5-1. Okay, and trustee Zollinger?
Aye.
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 4-2. Oh, 4 positives, thank you. 4. And trustee Adnams?
Aye.
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 4. And trustee Davis? Aye.
Aye.
4. Okay, so with that, we have trustee Adnams, Zollinger, and Davis with trustee Castellanos as the alternate. Thank you. Okay, and then the California School Board Association. Why does it shows up on my script again? All right. Oh, thank you, trustee Jones. Thank you. All right, board policy subcommittees meets quarterly or as needed. Trustee Davis and trustee Jones served on it in 2024. Is there someone that has interest in this subcommittee?
I'd like to continue to do that. And if you want to continue, that would be great. But, you know, if someone else.
Okay, do we have any other interest in this? Okay, I'll continue with trustee Jones. Okay, and then the Songs Community Engagement Panel. The 2024 assignment was trustee Parham. I actually have interest in this as it's neighboring my San Clemente area. Is there anyone else that has interest in this? Okay, turns out Davis.
President Davis, because it's an acronym, can you share what SONGS is? Maybe the new trustees are unfamiliar.
I told them.
SONGS is the group for San Onofre, the the closure of the nuclear power plant in San Onofre. So SONGS is the group that includes local city councils, members of the community, the local power agencies, as well as us on talking about how they're going to dispose of and properly store the nuclear waste and decommission the nuclear power plant.
I have a motion to approve the trustees' participation on the various committees.
So move.
Okay, moved by trustee Jones, seconded by
Second.
trustee Adnams. All those in favor
Aye.
and nay? So is that a 6-0-1 to approve the selection of trustee participation on various committees with a preferential vote from student board member Miranda? Thank you. The newly elected board will now decide where each trustee will sit on the dais. So we're going to take a 5-minute break and we'll be back in 5 minutes. And Colleen will move the nameplates as needed. Thank you.
Thank you.
the time over to Superintendent Dr. Chris Brown to present his opening comments, followed by the trustees.
Good evening, everyone. My comments won't be nearly as exciting as what we've been going through so far this evening, but welcome to our final Board of Trustees meeting for 2024. And as we begin tonight, of course, I'd like to formally welcome our new trustees, Lisa Zollinger and Jennifer Adams. Thank you for joining. As you look around the room tonight, you might start to notice a few changes in the boardroom. Specifically, we've updated some photos to have photos of our current students in our boardroom. And this is part of a larger, longer-term plan to really update this meeting space. So we're going to invest in some new technology that really is designed to provide greater access to our meetings, to increase the transparency of our district, and make it easier to watch our meetings virtually, to make the YouTube stream much more pleasant for the viewer and much more focused on those who are speaking either at the podium or at the dais. And to provide clarity really about what you're seeing and what you're hearing, especially if you can't attend and you wanted to watch from home. And the investments in technology that we're going to make are funded through a grant that's being provided by the Federal Communications Commission. And the district staff have been working for several months to identify the needed upgrades and to create a schedule of work. So you'll see that work start to roll out here over the spring. And in addition to the technology, we will be standardizing the layout of the room. So you'll see all of these new changes in tech, room layout, and others at the start of the new year. And then as we work in spring to, again, enhance that communication and transparency. Tonight, I want to highlight a few recent celebrations. So I wanted to congratulate Clarence Lobo and Castile Elementaries for becoming some of the first schools to earn Model PLC distinction. And PLC is a professional learning community. Those teachers at those schools work together for the betterment of student experience. And they do it so well that they're model for other schools throughout the state. So congratulations to Lobo and Castile for that. I also want to congratulate the Aliso Niguel girls flag football coach, Randy Baldwin, who was honored by the LA Chargers as one of the Orange County Coaches of the Year in their home game this past weekend. Very good. And as I wrap up this evening, this is the best time of year to work in this job. And so we get to gather and we get to get our kids together and see their events. So just last week, we had third graders here from Concordia. They were here singing carols to staff in the board building. They had a visit from Santa. And I've also had the opportunity to visit the San Juan Hills High School Winter Concert, which was incredible. If you get a chance to see one of our schools perform at their winter concerts, the students have worked all year for this, and it shows, and they are amazing at what they do. And really, this is a great time. We've spent time at 2 different employee appreciation events where we've had over 100 employees join us for food and nutrition services, provided cake and empanadas and hot chocolate bars, just to celebrate the work that we've done throughout the district this year. And so as we've been doing with our students and with our staff, I wish you all a happy holiday season. And for those of you who take a break, a wonderful winter break. And I'll turn it over to the trustees.
Thank you, trustees. Any comments? Okay, trustee Bolkus.
Well, I too want to welcome our 2 newest board members, trustee Zonlinger and trustee Adams. And it was with great delight that 5 of us attended the San Juan Hills High School choir last week. In fact, every night last week, I was attending either an instrumental or choir performance at our middle schools, at our high schools. And there's no better way to bring in this season than to listen to our students. Such great talent and the joy. And San Juan Hills High School, I was told that every year they end with Silent Night, but I had no idea that there would be 200 students up on stage. And then they came in when they darkened the Performing Arts Center, and they were all holding candles and lined up the whole backside singing. And so we were just in the center of hearing this fabulous music. So if you missed it this year, make sure you get tickets next year. And I just want to say that I'm excited about Castile. We're going to have a celebration and acknowledgement for their PLC work on Friday, January 17th. Solution Tree will be making a presentation to them. Lots of good work going on in our schools. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you in the new year. And to whoever made the decision to put decorations, this is beautiful. This is the first time we've had this. I really appreciate it. Not this. So thank you, and thanks for being here tonight.
Trustee Adams? Trustee Zollinger?
I wasn't planning on talking, but I will just say that I am really grateful to be here. And so far, the board has been incredibly welcoming and helpful, and I appreciate it so much. And I'm just honored to be able to serve the families in our school district. It's an incredible school district. If you don't know, I have 5 children, 2 grads and 3 current students, and I think it's amazing. And I'm really grateful that I have this opportunity to serve all of our families. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity.
So I would like to say a few words about trustee Castellanos, who is stepping down as board president. I was board president in 2019 when you were originally appointed to our board, so I think it's fitting that I should be the one to thank you for your own service as board president. The main job of a board president is to preside over public meetings, but there's more to it than that. You have qualities that have guided you in making our board meetings better for trustees, staff, and the public. In the style of the best teachers, you've been a good role model. You've helped us remember to be respectful listeners, even when there are disagreements. As someone who works with young people every day, you've made sure to lift the voices of students in the boardroom. You've endeavored to keep the main thing by preserving focus on supporting students for academic and personal success. Those of us who sat in that chair know it ain't easy. And Trustee Davis is going to find this out. You did well, and we welcome you back to the regular old non-officer seats, which I'll call the cheap seats. Thank you so much. And we have a plaque.
Hey, and I'd like to recognize Catherine Brando to present her comments.
As we near the end of the semester, I wanted to highlight some exciting events happening around the district. Several of our schools have named their Teachers of the Year, and I'd like to congratulate all of this year's recipients for their exceptional dedication to our students. Winter sports are starting up at the high schools, and schools are hosting food and toy drives to support families in need this holiday season. Many of our schools are celebrating with holiday dress-up days and activities, and our art programs are preparing for their winter performances. At the high school, finals are taking place this week from Tuesday to Thursday as students wrap up the semester. One of my main goals this year is to amplify the voice of our middle school students. I found that high school students often have well-established platforms to share their perspectives, such as the monthly ASB Presidents Meeting I attend with all the high school ASB presidents, and the CUSD Student Advisory Board, where student representatives regularly meet with Dr. Brown. However, I found that middle school students don't have as many similar opportunities to engage directly with the district and board of trustees. Therefore, I'm working to create new pathways for middle schoolers to share their ideas and concerns. This past month, I visited 4 middle schools: Don Juan Avila, Aliso Viejo, Ladera Ranch, and New Hart. I had the chance to speak with a wide range of students from ASB and PAL leadership groups at Aliso Viejo, New Hart, and Ladera Ranch to the Principal Student Advisory Council at Don Juan Avila. I also hosted an open tutorial session at Aliso Viejo Middle School, where I was able to connect with students who signed up to share their thoughts, and visited the yearbook leadership class at New Hart. I found that some of their biggest priorities include mental health resources, fostering a supportive schooling community, and academic support. I've also sent out a survey to gather even more input. You can find some of the photos on my social media page at CUSD SBM. But most importantly, what I've learned is that middle school students are eager to be heard. We've often run out of time during our discussions because they have so many things to share. I'm really inspired by how enthusiastic they are to share their thoughts and make a difference. They have thoughtful ideas, but many of them don't know how to share them. I also discovered that many middle schoolers aren't familiar with the Board of Trustees or its role in their education. I've been making an effort to educate them about what the board does and how they can get involved. I'm currently compiling their feedback, and at my last meeting at the end of the school year, I plan to present their concerns and suggestions to the board in a comprehensive report. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just would like to welcome trustee Zollinger and trustee Adnams to the board and look forward to serving alongside you. And the winter concerts are extraordinary. So put them on your calendar next year. Make sure you do that. And I'm glad that we rebranded this year's employee appreciation events because we had a much better attendance and it was great to gather with different people from all across the district. And I'm excited about Lobo and their PLC honor. And with that, I'd like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and Happy New Year. Thank you.
President Davis, could I also add something beyond my, okay. Last month, we said goodbye to 2 board members, and this month we are congratulating our 2 reelected trustees, trustee Castellanos and trustee Davis. And also welcoming 2 new ones who have also been acknowledged, and I'm looking forward to working with them inside the boardroom and outside. I also want to mention that we, let's see, 4 of us went to CSBA, is that right? It seemed like it was everyone. The California School Boards Association Annual Conference, where we learned a lot about boardsmanship and working together with a team and school improvement. And I think it was very worthwhile. I think everybody would say it was very worthwhile. And I'm really glad we all went. But in addition to that, I would like to announce that Superintendent Brown's son is a member of the Edison High School football team, the state football champions. They won their championship game at Saddleback College on Saturday. And he doesn't really like to talk about his family in the boardroom, but I think it's such a big deal that we need to acknowledge that.
You know, last month, trustee Davis mentioned something about Edison losing to San Clemente, so I was just gonna let it go. That Edison played, 6 more games and won a state title, but with a senior son, it was a good way for him to go out with a win.
There is that. And by the way, when we did play the team when we beat Edison, his son did play a well-played game. Congratulations to Edison. State championship is something to be proud of for sure. Thank you. Any additional comments? Thank you. Okay, and with that, we'll move on to oral communications. And the total time for oral communications shall be 20 minutes. Individual presentations are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per individual, but could be less if they're a large number of speakers. Complaints regarding district employees should be addressed by completing the district's formal complaint form available through the district website. Ms. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for oral communications tonight?
We have 13, so following board policy, it'll be 1 minute per speaker, and we'll start with our student speaker.
Thank you.
I'll call all the names and ask that you line up in the order that you filled out your cards. Our first speaker is Sage. The next is Mary, Samantha Tar, David, Javier, Bree, Brian, Anthony, Shan, Jennifer, Courtney, Tom, and Angela. Do we have Sage?
Sage, if you'd like to come to the microphone. Thank you, Susie.
My name is Sage Jobon. I'm 8 years old. I'm in 2nd grade at Las Palmas. I have a little brother in kindergarten. I would like to say how special Miss Mooney is. She is fun, helpful, and very kind. We need her every day. She helps everybody, students, my classmates, teachers, and Dr. Barossa. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mary. Mary, please go ahead.
Thank you. Congratulations to our 3 true constitutionalists, Lisa Davis and Jennifer Admans and Lisa Zollinger. They worked tirelessly to fight to protect our children. And in our constitutional republic, we were ensured a more balanced representation for Capital Unified. We had a mandate from the citizens for these 3 candidates. We look forward to a new year with improved parental rights, notification, and more transparency. Thank you.
Samantha Tar.
Good evening. I'm Sam Tarr. I'm an Aliso mom. I'm here to talk about Wood Canyon tonight. As all of you know from this past election season, we take our education seriously in Capistrano Unified. Last week, my girls were part of a play for the Polar Express under the guidance and leadership of Miss Catrellis, Miss Wilson, and Miss Stetter-Wilson. They learned theatrical elements like line resuscitation, singing, dancing. They even broke the fourth wall. And what was so cool about it was they paused to explain what they learned through the Polar Express. They talked about similes like or as. They explained what figurative language was and literal language was. That's not something that I did when I was in third grade. I'm very pleased and very proud of Wood Canyon and that specific teacher group. And I'm also proud of my trustee, Krista Castellanos. Thank you.
Our next speaker, David Gayer.
Hello, my name is David Gayer. I'd like to thank the board for giving me a minute here. I was a wrestling coach at San Clemente High School, was let go this last year, and I've been a big part of the wrestling community in South Orange County. Would love an opportunity to keep coaching, helping kids. The reason for my dismissal, I participated in a trip that took kids to Hungary, 12 kids. We had an amazing experience, cultural experience. It was a privately funded trip. We used no money from the school. Really like another opportunity to help our kids. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Javier. Bree.
Hi, I'm Bree, and I'm a mom at Las Palmas, so my message is more directed to Lisa Davis. I'm here to advocate for making our part-time vice principal, Miss Mooneyham, full-time. Our school narrowly falls below the district's 800 student threshold, but our unique circumstances demand a closer look. We currently serve 777 students, including over 120 homeless youth, a significant number requiring additional support for academic and personal success. Over the past 2 years, our school has faced 2 serious lockdowns, highlighting the critical need for consistent leadership to ensure safety and preparedness. Beyond that, our student population includes many with high needs, requiring a level of engagement and intervention that stretches the capacity of a part-time leadership. I've had the privilege to volunteer at Las Palmas and have created a recess art program, and I've encountered many of our high need students. A full-time vice principal would not only address these challenges, but would also strengthen the support system for our teachers, students, and families. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brian.
My name is Brian Rosario. I'm father of 2 with Las Palmas students, one of which is my 2nd grader, Luciana, which is here, who's with me today. I'm here to talk about the district's 800 student rule for Las Palmas. It's not just a request. It is a necessity rooted in our commitment to providing a quality education for our diverse community. As someone who has over 25 years of experience in education as a coach, and 21 of those being at the college level coaching women's basketball, I understand the importance of strong leadership and support system in fostering student success. We must shift our focus from the 800 student threshold to the compelling reasons why a full-time vice principal is essential for our school, especially given the unique needs of our students and community. We do not believe in that the 23 student deficit should be a measurement tool of stretching our principal thin and not providing our school's priorities with the attention it deserves. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anthony.
I'd like to address Las Palmas Elementary School, the history of the school. If you look at the Capistrano Unified School District emblem, it has a swallow on it. Swallow is Las Golondrinas in Spanish. Our school district, our city is rooted in Spanish-speaking schools, Spanish-speaking Mexicans and Spanish people. Las Palmas is the first elementary school in San Clemente in 1927. 18 years ago, it started the Spanish immersion program, and that has continued throughout the district. The shortcomings of having 23, 25 fewer students than the threshold that's needed for an assistant principal is something to where you guys should look into your hearts and see the needs of the children and the history of Spanish speaking in our community and in our schools. We need an assistant principal full-time, and we need this now. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Shan.
Good evening, and what a really good evening it is. On behalf of myself and Heather and Amber and Ava, who can't be here tonight, we wanted to welcome our new trustees, Jennifer Adams and Lisa Zollinger, to the board, and thank Lisa Davis and Judy Belekas for, and congratulate them for their new roles on our board. And we look forward to the year to come and everything that you have to offer our community, and thank you all for your service.
Our next speaker is Jennifer McAteer. I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm speaking on behalf of Las Palmas. I have 3 children at the school. I often volunteer there to where kids think I'm almost a teacher. With that being said, I witnessed so much at that school. The deficits that are happening now with our vice principal being gone is alarming. It's scary. These children need the attention more than what is being allowed at the time. I look at everybody at this room and I think if one person next to you is missing, is the person next to you going to take on their responsibilities for those extra days that they're taken away? And that's not fair of our vice principal to take this on. She's very capable, all of our employees are, but it's unreasonable, it's unjust, and it borders a neglect of the students that we don't have the support there. It's taken away. I'm not asking for other schools to lose it. I'm just asking for our school to get it. With the few students, thank you.
Our next speaker is Courtney Morley.
Hello, I'm a parent of 3 students at Las Palmas. I'm also a secretary on the PTA. I serve on the school site council. I'm a credentialed school counselor and a school psychologist. The decision to no longer fund a full-time vice principal at a Title I school in an area that has always been and still remains well known by the city as the hotbed for crime and gang activity is not only irresponsible, but downright negligent. Las Palmas missed that cutoff by 23 kids. It's incumbent upon the district, when there is such a narrow margin, for them to really analyze the surrounding neighborhood, the community that comprises that particular school when making these decisions to lose such a substantial resource for our school. It just speaks to the transparency that this was a bottom line decision, and it's really disappointing. And we ask that you please reconsider this decision and fund a full-time vice principal at this site. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Tom.
I'm Tom Connolly. I'm Vice President of CSEA. There's a program called Capistrano Appreciates Classified Employees. It's a voluntary program in which managers spend time shadowing classified employees, including paraeducators, food services professionals, M&O workers, nurses, and more. This program builds understanding and respect between managers and classified employees. Our classified employees had a chance to open up their days and show the hard work, care, and skills that go into their roles, whether it's in helping in the classrooms, supervising students, or handling important tasks behind the scenes. I am grateful to the managers who took the time to learn more about the challenges and contributions of our classified staff. This program shows how much we can achieve when we understand and value each other's roles, and reminds us how much we all rely on each other to make our schools run smoothly and support our students. I appreciate that Trustee Jones, Superintendent Dr. Brown, Dr. Greg Merwin, and Jill O'Connell-Bogle hosted the event in the
Conclude your
boardroom.
time. I would like to invite the next speaker, Angela Watts.
Angela Watts, a mother at Las Palmas Elementary School. Las Palmas is the 2nd largest elementary school in our district, serving 777 students. Being 23 students short of 800 cutoff to secure a full-time assistant principal. Let me be clear, This number is not based on the realities we face every day. It doesn't account for the unique challenges of a Title I school where many parents are working multiple jobs just to make ends meet. It doesn't consider that our principal is not only managing the complexity of a Spanish immersion school, but also juggling neighborhood traffic issues just to keep the peace. Now let's talk about what this means. We are asking one person, our principal, to do the impossible. Manage students, support hardworking team of teachers, respond to behavioral challenges, and ensure the safety of our kids, all while playing traffic cop. This is a recipe for burnout, not success.
Thank you. That concludes our speakers for oral communications.
And Dr. Brown, I hope now you'll listen to us.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to public hearings, the presentation of renewal petition for opportunities for learning charter school. At this time, I'd like to, we have speaker cards first. Okay. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing regarding presentation of renewal petition for opportunities for learning charter school. The time is now 8:10 p.m. Would Abrera, Jessica Boucher, Boucher, and representing opportunities for learning, please come to the podium, state your name, title, and introduce the presentation for this evening. Staff will now set the timer for the charter school's 10-minute presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, members of Capistrano Unified School District Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Brown, and members of the cabinet. My name is Jessica Boucher, Principal of Opportunities for Learning Capistrano. We would like to begin by expressing our sincere gratitude for the continued support that the Capistrano Unified School District has shown to Opportunities for Learning Charter School since our partnership that began in 2001. Your dedication to providing diverse educational opportunities for students in our community has been invaluable, and we are incredibly grateful to be part of this journey with you. Tonight, we are here to ask for your support for our charter petition for the 2025, 2023, 2020, 30 charter term. This renewal marks the continuation of our commitment to offering an alternative educational program that meets the unique needs of students who thrive outside of the traditional school setting. We believe that the service and support we provide play a crucial role in helping these students achieve their academic goals and reach their full potential. We have representatives today from Opportunities for Learning and our charter management group here this evening and are available to answer any questions to the board that the board may have regarding our renewal petition or our program. In addition, we brought some letters of support from current and past parents and students for your review. We look forward to the opportunity to continue working with Capistrano Unified School District for another 5 years. Together, we can ensure that all students in our community have access to educational options that are needed for their success. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good evening, board members, board trustees, Dr. Brown and cabinet. I just wanted to echo what Principal Boucher just stated. For the past more than 20 years, we've been part of Capistrano Unified. I've worked for the school network 24 years, and we've been chartered with Capistrano Unified. And I sincerely state that we've always felt part of the family at Capistrano Unified. I've worked with several districts, and that you don't always get that feel. We've always been invited to, whether it's trainings, offerings for the kids, students. We really feel the love. And I just wanted to say thank you again for the opportunity, and we're hoping to get another 5-year term so we can serve students in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for the public hearing? We have 4.
Our first speaker is Gabriella Betts, then Luca Klaus, Ken DeVore, and Patrick Horrigan.
Hi there, I'm Gabrielle.
Hi, board members. I'm a student at Opportunities for Learning in Capistrano here, and this is my perfect school. They've helped me come out of my shell, feel more myself, and met every educational need I've had. I am a 504 student, which means sometimes I need extra time on different activities, and they have been able to meet that. I also have different health needs, and they've been able to give me the time that I need to really come into my own. Through Opportunities for Learning, I have been to 7 countries when I really never thought I would leave the US. I've learned wonderful things and been able to see historical facts about World War II firsthand, as well as get amazing context for historical lessons I probably never would have understood otherwise. I'm actually about to go to the presidential inauguration with them in January. They've also helped me come out of my shell socially and educationally. My GPA has never been higher. I am the president of our student council, and I'm also very involved with my college crew, which helps us reach our college goals. And I have made lifelong friends. I actually got a ride here from one of said friends. I am so extremely grateful for them. My teachers are amazing and sitting over there. They have helped me and been so nurturing. They know when I'm having a bad day and they remember my name, which is just wonderful. And thank you so much. And please renew our charter.
Our next speaker is Luca Klaus.
Hi. Good evening. Welcome, Trustee Adams and Trustee Zollinger, and Board President Davis and Trustee Castellano. Congratulations on your reelection. Tonight, I'm not speaking on behalf of the PTA. I'm speaking as a concerned parent. I want to address the reauthorization of the charter school being considered. Charter schools can serve as innovative alternative to traditional public schools. In Capistrano, we have Journey Charter School, which offers a Waldorf-inspired education. In Orange County, also, you know, OSHA, which is a specialty school for the arts. These schools are unique, but still held accountable to ensure the academic success of their students. Unfortunately, the charter school that you're going to vote tonight has a different picture. The graduation rate stands at 53%. On the contrary, our district graduation rate is at 95%. I encourage all of you, pull out your cell phones and go on the California School Dashboard and you'll see the data right there. In good conscience, how can you authorize a failing school that fails half of its students? Yes, the population it serves has unique needs, but so does the Capistrano Union High School. And their graduation rate is at 98.6, not 50, 98.6. By reauthorizing a failing charter school, you risk becoming complicit to this educational failure. If we're in courtroom, I would say you are knowingly aiding and abetting a travesty. I am not a lawyer, but I can't imagine how you wouldn't bear some liability on enabling a system that is failing our children, particularly when the data already warns us of the outcome. Think about it this way. It's like a doctor overprescribing opioids, knowing the danger they may cause. Do we really want those doctors in our failing our educational system? And let me end with this. Please do not just vote yes by saying Orange County Board of Education may approve it anyway. Let them take that liability. The responsibility should rest on their shoulder, not yours. Our students deserve better. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ken.
Good evening, distinguished board members, staff, parents, and community members. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Ken DeVore, and I've had the honor of teaching at Opportunities for Learning public charter schools for over 17 years. This school is not just my workplace, it's a second home where I've had the privilege of helping countless students transform their lives. OFL is more than a school. It's a community, a support system, and for many students, a fresh start filled with possibilities. Opportunities for Learning plays a vital role in our community. by offering an innovative and flexible approach to education. We meet students where they are, academically, emotionally, and socially. Through our independent study curriculum, robust support services, and career and college readiness programs, we create a space where every student has the opportunity to succeed. For many of our students, OFL is the first school where they feel truly seen, valued, and supported. Over the years, I have seen firsthand how OFL changes lives. I've watched students who once struggled in traditional school rediscover their confidence and passion for learning. I've celebrated alongside families as their children cross the stage at graduation, equipped not just with a diploma, but with the tools and determination to pursue their dreams. These successes are not rare at OFL. They are our foundation of what we do. They are the reason I've dedicated nearly 2 decades to this school. What makes OFL truly exceptional is our ability to tailor education to meet the unique needs of every learner. Whether it's working students balancing school and employment, a young parent returning to finish their education, a student struggling with homelessness, or a teen overcoming personal challenges, we offer individual support to help them succeed. We're not just educators, we're mentors, advocates, and champions for our students. At OFL, we go beyond academics. We're about restoring hope and helping students rediscover their purpose and potential. While our stories are inspiring, our results are equally compelling. Over the past charter term, we've demonstrated growth in graduation rates, academic performance, and post-secondary readiness. These numbers validate our work, but they only tell part of the story. The real impact lies in the students who leave our school stronger, more confident, and better equipped to take on the challenges ahead. This evening, I urge you to support the renewal of our charter. This decision goes beyond simply continuing a program. It's about safeguarding a vibrant resource for students who excel in non-traditional learning environments. It ensures that every student, regardless of their challenges or circumstances, has the opportunity to succeed. By renewing our charter, you are reinforcing your dedication to fostering learning, growth, and meaning in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Patrick Oregon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Hurrigan. Our daughter Sienna is currently enrolled in OFL. When she requested that I speak here tonight, I readily agreed, as I felt confident in my ability to speak without prior preparation, having now guided 5 of our children through the district. However, when consulting with my wife and Sienna, they informed me that I would not be allowed to wing it. Our primary objective in transferring Sienna to OFL was to remove her from an environment that was detrimental to her well-being. Sienna commenced attendance at OFL in March of 2023. Unbeknownst to us, significant transformations were on the horizon for our daughter. Since enrolling at OFL, Sienna has had the privilege of working with educators who are highly engaged, invested in her progress, possess exceptional communication skills, and are readily accessible to both students and parents. This contrasts sharply with her previous educational experience. Since attending OFL, Sienna's GPA has experienced a remarkable improvement, rising from 2.06 to 3.33, representing a substantial 61.86% increase. For context, Tony Robbins has stated that most individuals require a 1 to 3% improvement in their current lives to achieve a significant impact, let alone a 61.83% enhancement. Beyond academic achievement, Sienna has also benefited from mental and emotional well-being, as well as a sense of accomplishment and independence. We're profoundly grateful for this educational institution and the leadership it provides. Thank you for allowing me to share Sienna's journey and our overwhelming positive experience with OFL.
That concludes our public hearing speakers.
President Davis, I just have a few questions.
First, just one, please. At this time, I'd like See. Okay, trustees, the public hearing is now closed and the time is 8:24. And now we will, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing regarding opportunities for learning charter school admissions preferences. The time is now 8:25. Mrs. Hayes, do you have any speaker cards for the public hearing?
There are none.
Hearing none. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed and the time is still 8:25. Now we'll move on to opportunities for learning charter school admissions preferences. They have a motion to approve the opportunities for learning charter school admissions preferences.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Jones, seconded by
Second.
trustee Bolkus. Ms. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards for this item? Okay, being that we have none, we will move to recognizing Greg Merwin, Associate Superintendent, Education and Support Services, to present. Thank you.
Thank you, President Davis. Staff presents item 15A, opportunities for learning charter school admissions preferences. Staff and legal counsel have reviewed the charter schools' proposed admission preferences and OFL's lottery preferences aligned with state and federal laws and reflect similar practices used by other local charter schools. I'm joined by Assistant Superintendent Dr. Carrie Johnson, Coordinator Carrie Velez, and representatives from OFL who are available to answer any questions. Staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Now at this time, trustee discussion. Trustee Castellanos?
Thank you. Can we just go over like a little bit more about OFL so the public is aware of what kind of charter it is, what kind of students are at that charter, and go over basically the basics of the school? Anybody can answer that question. Thank you. Works.
So we serve all kinds of students, actually. And so students come to us for different social emotional support. Some students come for us to get ahead. Some students come to us credit deficient. So like, for example, a grad rate that's 53%, that is for the 4th and 5th year graduates. I would like to say that for 1-year graduates, our percentage is 91%. Students come to us, a lot of our students come to us credit deficient already. And so we're there to help support them. We meet them where they're at. So sometimes we have students that have gone through medical stuff at home, supporting with families. Sometimes we have students that are looking to get ahead and just graduate early. And so we don't have one size fits all for students. It depends on whatever the student needs is kind of why they're here. That's an open enrollment. So students come to us at any moment during the school year. And we're able to offer credits depending on where the student's at. So we're not kind of in that realm of by semester. So we're able to kind of meet the students. Yeah.
And to clarify, we're a non-classroom based independent study program. So we're serving kids that, like Principal Boucher stated, that have a different need. Maybe they weren't successful in the traditional school setting. They need a smaller school setting. So we have open enrollment year round. So the grad rate, and we are a DAS school, which means that we are held to different alternative metrics, and we work with those metrics with the districts. And one of the metrics that we've worked with Capistrano Unified is the graduation rate, because it is a bit unfair to be measured at a 4 to 5 grad rate level, because we're getting kids that are behind already coming in, and it is a challenge to get them to graduate in their cohort rate when they might be 30 credits behind, 60 credits behind. So there is a 1-year graduation rate also that is part of the dashboard, and that's what Principal Boucher was referring to. If you were to measure students coming in that we've served starting 12th grade, the grad rate is actually over 90%. And that's how we feel it is a fair assessment of the grad rate, and that's why the CD has accepted that grad rate. Feds had a different opinion about it, and so it kind of changed last year. So it is on the dashboard. We're still held accountable to the 4 to 5 year grad rate, but the dashboard also shows our 1 year grad rate, which again is above 90%.
Thank you. I appreciate that
No,
clarification.
no problem.
Any other questions, comments? Trustee Jones?
You're a 6 through 12?
7 through 12. Yes.
And I understand the comment that, you know, we have Capistrano Union High School for similar students in similar situations. But Capistrano Union is 11 and 12 only. Once in a while, they'll take a 10th grader, but they really don't have 9th and 10th grade classes. And I know you, I wasn't sure if you were 6 to 12 or 7 to 12, and that's really a very different group of students. And I appreciate what you're doing. I think that, and as you know, I have personal experience with
Yes.
some of your students, former students. But it's not just that. Before I knew I had personal experience, I was aware of what you're doing, and I think it is a very interesting model. And when some of us were in school, students who didn't fit the mold dropped out and were never seen again. And nowadays, we see to it that almost everybody does graduate. There's not that many kids who fall through the cracks. And I think that it's partly schools like yours that keep them from falling through cracks. And yes, it's credit deficient. It's kids who are extremely introverted. It's kids who were bullied in school. I know it's LGBTQ kids. It's and it's a lot of different kinds of students. And I'm in favor of the petition. You've been around for a long time. I think you do good work, but I also do understand the objection that based on the numbers alone, it's maybe not that great, but I think that there's good stuff going on in the school. Thanks.
We appreciate that, and an invite to anybody who wants to come visit the center and just spend some time to see what the staff does there. It's amazing. The small teacher to student ratio really makes a difference. And you know, you heard one of the student speakers before. If you talk to anybody, parents, families, students, you'll get a feel of what the dedication of the staff for everyone that comes in that door. So thank you.
Just gonna say, and just for clarification, we do serve students with IEPs as well as 504s, as Gabrielle mentioned, as well as English language learners. And so we are able to tailor their support for them. We also offer direct instruction classes for any students that need extra support in subjects such as like Algebra 2 or higher level. We also offer lab sciences, so kids can go straight from our school to a UC, any private university, and we're WASC accredited, NCAA, all of the things.
Thank you.
And with that,
Thank you.
all in favor? Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Passive 6-0-1. Okay, the California School Dashboard Fall 2024. This is an information item only and no board action is necessary. I'd like to recognize Greg Merwin, Associate Superintendent, Education and Support Services, to present the item. Dr. Merwin.
Thank you very much, President Davis. Great to be here in front of all of you. And it's a pleasure to present item 15B, California School Dashboard Fall 2024. Assistant Superintendent Dr. Carrie Johnson and I will be sharing a brief presentation with all of you this evening. And overall, you're going to see positive trends of growth across the majority of our indicators for the dashboard, but you're also going to see areas where we need to continual work, and we will definitely address those. And then in the end, we are going to conclude with next steps based on the dashboard on how we move forward as a district and continue to improve. As we start the presentation, I would like to, of course, mention that the success is a direct result of the skill, dedication, and hard work of our teachers. our classified staff, and our site administrators. We appreciate their efforts to support all of our students at CUSD, and we also appreciate the partnership and the support of our families. So what is the dashboard? The dashboard is an online tool, and it is basically set up so that there is transparency, so that families and the public can see how schools, districts, and student groups are doing. As it says on the slide, this is a way that we can identify strengths and weaknesses, and we can make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our students. The different student groups that are defined in the dashboard are listed in the bottom bullet on the slide. Additionally, would like to point out that it is also used in order to identify districts that need additional support, both districts and schools. LEAs or districts can become eligible for differentiated support. And then also schools can be eligible, and it does have, you have kind of an alphabet soup up there of a whole bunch of acronyms. These are different types of support for schools. You have CSI, Comprehensive Support and Improvement. You have ATSI, which is targeted, additional targeted support and improvement, and then TSI. All of these are different ways that schools can be supported. And let me see if I can find my notes here. Hold on a second. It's listed here. We had, oh, I don't have the notes up here, but oh, give me a second. There it is. Just this week, we heard from California Department of Education that several of our schools that were identified for additional support last year based on the dashboard have successfully exited. So breaking news, I'm going to share those schools with you right now so you can hear which schools have exited from that additional support based on the 2024 dashboard. And those schools are Carl Hankey's Elementary Side, Concordia Elementary, George White Elementary, Harold Ambule Elementary, John Malcolm Elementary, Ladera Ranch Elementary, Laguna Niguel Elementary, and Las Flores, the elementary side. So those schools have all successfully exited from their additional support they were receiving through ATSI. The dashboard looks a little bit different this year. There are some different parts that were not there when you looked at this last year in 2023. First and foremost, as it says on the slide, college and career indicator is now a performance level, meaning we now have growth data that we can share with you. Long-term English learners are now officially a student group. A long-term English learner, or an LTEL, is a student who was initially identified as an English learner and then has not reclassified to fluent English within a 7-year span. California Science Test is now on the dashboard. It is a status year only, meaning there's no growth to compare because it's the first year, not 2 years to compare, but it is on the dashboard now. And then, as I mentioned before, you have additional targeted support and improvement eligibility based on the dashboard. So the dashboard is divided up into 2 different types of indicators. You have your local indicators, which are on this slide, and then following this will be the state indicators. California Department of Education uses all of these indicators to determine if districts have, to basically measure how districts are doing in a variety of different ways. So as you can see, it is more than just test scores that are used by California Department of Ed to measure and explain the performance of each district. So as you notice here, local indicators include different things like conditions of learning, school climate, parental involvement, access to broad course of study, et cetera. And we did meet all standards on all local indicators for 2024. Now, the state indicators are the other collection of indicators. These are the ones that look like gauges, like it's the dashboard of a car. And these are the following 6 bullets, as you can see here, and each one will be showing the measurement and progress on performance. You have academic performance, English learner progress, chronic absenteeism, graduation rate, suspension rate, and college and career readiness. So the accountability reported for these state indicators, as I mentioned, they look like gauges on a car's dashboard. These are for not only districts, but also individual schools and also student groups. Each one of them are measured the same way. Performance levels are again, as I mentioned prior, the previous year and the current year. So this dashboard is the looking at 2023 and then measuring progress when you look at 2024. You can see here on the slide, there are 5 different performance levels. Each one is assigned a color. Blue would mean very high performance, red, very low performance. And again, as I mentioned earlier, science, which is now on the dashboard, does not have a color assigned because this is the first year. They're not 2 years to compare. And I should mention too, tonight's presentation is focused on the district level performance for these indicators. We will be returning, as Dr. Johnson will be sharing in a few minutes, we will be returning with a deeper dive into student groups at a future board meeting.
Just to interrupt for 1 second too.
Please do.
These are all publicly available through the state website. So if members of the public wanted to get just a school and see this exact same series of results for just their school, they could search by just their school to state dashboard and find it. So it's not that it's not available. It is available. We have 54 schools. So we're just going to stay at the district level as opposed to diving in this forum. Our principals are very much aware of what their dashboards look like and what they're working on their sites.
Perfect lead in for this slide, because as you can see here, this is what it looks like for Capistrano Unified, and the source is in the bottom right-hand corner of that slide. So the public and trustees can go to that link and see the entire dashboard for the district. And yes, exactly like Dr. Brown said, every school has their own dashboard as well. So the public, families, trustees can go and see any individual school and how they are doing on the indicators. And notice again, bottom left-hand corner, science is informational only. Next year, we will have growth data to be able to share in science. Okay, so how then do you measure the academic performance? How do you decide, is it blue, is it green, is it yellow, is it red, et cetera? So basically, it is the average student score for the grades of the students that take the tests, grades 3 through 8 and grade 11. And let's say it's focusing just on language arts, ELA, and mathematics. So you take all the students that took the state test, the Smarter Balance Assessment, and you also take the students who took the California Alternate Assessment. And these are students who have modified curriculum, students that are on IEPs. You take all of the scores, you then find the average, and then you compare it to the average to the minimum score for standard met. So then the average for our district, as you'll see in the next slides, when you're averaging all the students that took the tests, you'll see the number, the distance from that standard and how much more our students performed compared to just meeting standard. Okay, so again, that's how it is used. And yes, the CAW, the California Alternate Assessment, that is included in the score. So those students that take that test that have heavily modified curriculum, they are also included in the score. And as I mentioned prior, the dashboard scores, again, red meaning very low and blue very high as the top score. All right, so without further ado, I know you can't wait to hear, okay, let's hear about those indicators. And to do that for you, it's going to be Dr. Johnson. So he's going to come on up here and share with you the indicators.
Thank you, Dr. Merwin. President Davis, trustees, I'm very excited to share this first academic indicator, which is for English language arts. And as Dr. Merwin talked about, this was based on the Smarter Balance Assessment in English language arts for students in grades 3 through 8 and 11. And as you see, we continue the upward trend. So average distance from standard is 48.6 points above standard. So that's that average student for all of our students in the district that took the Smarter Balance Assessment last year. And although the state uses the language of maintained, it's actually a bump up of 1.6 points. The second academic indicator I'd like to present is about mathematics. Once again, we show this upward trend, performing better than we did before the pandemic. And if you look, the average distance from standard for math is 21.1 points above standard, with an increase of 3.8 points from last school year. and we're at green or high in mathematics. And I failed to mention that we were at blue, very high for SBA and ELA.
I would add too that there was a recent article in the Register. They put the wrong school in the front of it from a competing district, but it talked about Capo as being one of the few districts that has recovered and now exceeded pre-pandemic levels of performance on the state dashboard. And you can see we're ahead of that. So again, not that we don't have work to do. We absolutely have work to do, but we were just recognized. They put a Laguna Beach school or something on the cover. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was a good article.
So the next indicator, this is not an academic indicator. This is the progress of English learners over time. And this is no longer based on the Smarter Balance Assessment. This is based on the LPAC, which stands for the English Language Proficiency Assessment for California. And the LPAC is given to all students whose primary language is a language other than English. And the LP, we call it the LP, is based on 2 years, the students who have taken 2 years, prior year and current year of the LPAC. So if they've been reclassified, they would not be taking the LPAC in the second year. And this is for all students, once again, who are classified as English learners. And it's based on the summative LPAC over those 2 consecutive years. The premise of the LP is based on California's goal of all students who are English learners being reclassified as English proficient in 5 years. That's a robust goal. And the way that we determine progress is based on the percentage of students who move up a level, or if they're at level 4, maintain that level 4 from 1 year to the next in this cohort of students. So if a student is at level 4 and they continue at level 4 the next year, they're making progress. If they're at level 3 and they move up to level 4, they're included in the percentage of students making progress. If they maintain, then they're not considered making progress, or if they decline, they're not considered making progress. One caveat I want to add to this is the fact that when you go from one grade to the next, the cut score actually goes up, right? So the threshold jumps up, as well as the complexity of the LPAC that the student is taking. So if a student's going from 3rd grade to 4th grade, the cut score goes up, as well as the complexity of the test. When we first, you see that we have 46.1% making progress. We've been given the indication of low. This is a significant dip. We anticipated a dip based on our early release of the LPAC scores, but not this much of a decline. So trust me, staff, we got together multiple times. We actually included 2 secondary principals with the highest percentage of English learners on the campus, kind of engaged in what I call barefoot empiricism, kind of walking around the data to see if any trends pop out. And we really couldn't determine a specific trend. And so we're going to continue to dig into this, bring in some more principles and see if we can find out what the root causes of this dip are. I do want to point out, though, in the prior 2 years, we did make significant gains. And so that's why another reason this was a surprise that we took a dip.
And we will have a specific EL presentation with all EL progress data in a later month. So I'm probably stealing your thunder.
Yeah, you're twice. That's okay.
Before you go, talk about Dr. Johnson, you said if they made progress, if they moved up a level, or if they were already level 4, they maintained level
Correct.
4.
Yes.
So a student who was level 4 and met the other criteria and reclassified isn't even being counted here, correct?
Well, it's if they took the LPAC in those 2 years. So if they'd taken the LPAC, they would be included in this cohort.
Okay, but so last year they took the LPAC, they got a 4, and then they met the other criteria, so they reclassified. Do they get measured here? Because they're not taking it again.
They don't get measured here. So if this is one of the things that we've been digging into the data to make sure we understand it, because my contention with a lot of EL metrics is that if you're really, really good at EL, you get penalized in the metric, right? So if we had students make a lot of progress and become reclassified, there's no benefit to that in the LP, right? So you don't get credit for that as making progress in the LP, which makes it a kind of a unique metric that doesn't show the full story. We still want the LP to be a positive metric. We still want kids year over year who are not redesignating to make progress. So this isn't to say that that metric means nothing and we don't need to deal with it. We do have to work on it. However, we had a few changes to the reclassification criteria where we had rolling reclassification windows and a few other things. So we are actually able to reclassify a lot of students, which is a positive EL metric that is not reflected in the LP.
Right.
We'll bring
No,
that
I
in the
understand
full
I appreciate
report.
that. Yeah, and actually reclassifying students works against you in general because there's always new ones coming in and yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next is the College and Career Indicator, and this measures the percentage of high school graduates who are prepared for college and career. Students must meet one of these criteria, which includes Smarter Balance Assessment in ELA or math, Advanced Placement Exam performance, International Baccalaureate Exam performance, being awarded the Civic Engagement, State Seal of Biliteracy, being an ROTC, completing a CTE pathway, or being eligible, A through G eligible for UC or Cal State. This is the first year that the CCI has received a color since the pandemic. If you remember before, it was just a status, it was like purple bars. This is the first year that there's been a color included with this. And as you see this year, we have 64% of students prepared based on these metrics with a decline of 2.1. This puts us in the yellow or medium range, and it is a decrease from the prior year. This was another surprise to us. We dug into the data. There was an issue of some students who were uploaded after the deadline for the dashboard. We're still not sure if that had an impact on this or not. But as we were running our own formulas based on the formulas that the state gives us, we think that we should have a higher percentage than this. But regardless, we're going to dig into that some more, and we will report that back to the Board of Trustees. The other thing I want to point out is you see a decrease from 2019 of 81.9 to 2023 of 66.1. As I indicated last year, this was not a change in our performance, but rather a change in the way that the CDE calculated the CCI. Up until this point, they allowed any students taking a dual enrollment course through what's called a special admit to be included in the CCI. But now they've changed that. Only students that are part of a CCAP agreement with a community college, only those courses can be reported. And so that was the reason there was such a decline. I'm sorry? Oh, the California Career Access Pathway partnership. And so we have an agreement with Saddleback College so our students can take dual enrollment courses on our high school campuses. Only those courses that are part of that agreement can be included in this reporting to the state. So that was a significant decline in the number of courses that could be utilized in this. Has nothing to do with us or our students' performance, but rather the way the state decided to calculate the CCI.
Yes. So that was a decline statewide, right? That was basically they reset the bench and everyone dropped because we have a lot of districts have a lot of students who take special admit classes, which is a student who's just taking a one-off dual enrollment class, not part of an agreement. The other part to mention with the dashboard is if you have a change in data after the deadline, the state does not update the dashboard again for you. So we might find that our actual number is, let's say 67%, not 64%. The state won't change the number because we had a glitch in data in the uploading to CalPads. So they do a one shot and that's when your data is taken and then it's forever there. And so the positive is if we fix it, we'll show huge growth next year, even if we don't necessarily show huge growth next year.
So next is chronic absenteeism. So once again, this is a measure of only students in kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a percentage of students who are absent for 10% or more of the instructional days they are enrolled. And just for a side note, the student has to be enrolled for at least 31 instructional days to be included in this metric. So as you see, we're given the indication of yellow or medium. We have done really, really well, and I attribute this to our principals at our K-8 sites, a significant decrease from 18.2% to 12.4%. That was a lot of work on their behalf. And for me, though, I was surprised, like that much of a decrease, why didn't we at least go up to green? And so I did some research on that, just to let you know that for us to get to green, we would have to have that overall 12.4% below 10%. And to get to blue, we would have to be below 5%. We are as far over as you can get. That 5.8% decrease is considered a significant decline for absenteeism. But the only way we could have gotten a green or blue is to get that overall number lower, which I have faith that we will get to that point with our principals. So,
and I would imagine, sorry, this is I would imagine most districts are not above yellow in California. This is a problem statewide. Are there very many districts that are in green and blue? I would imagine most are in yellow and orange and red.
The only ones I've seen are like really tiny districts. And I agree, this is not just a state issue, but it's been a national issue. You can see articles about nationwide, but I think this is really beneficial for us, and we've done a really good job of making sure that we're getting those students in
Think
class.
medium is like where the average would be, but we far exceed the state's performance here to be average, right? To be medium, that's why it's not average, it's medium. So it's misleading. We're in the top tier of districts performing in this level, and we're still only in the yellow.
Oh, if we were graded on a curve, we'd be getting
blue.
A's. Yeah, okay.
It's okay. I have a question.
Yes.
We're going through these numbers. Is this not through high school? Because why on the absenteeism is it only through 8th grade? I mean, high school is where you have the big absenteeism problem.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, ever since this has been implemented, it's always been just K through 8. I think they capture that kind of school connectedness for high school in different ways with graduation rate, with CCI, that kind of thing. So.
That's the only place that they were captured.
Correct. Speaking of high school, graduation rate. So it's the percentage of high school graduates who receive a traditional diploma in grade 12. So this is based on the number of students who graduate with a regular high school diploma in either 4 or 5 years. So for example, as it says on the screen, 2024 graduate rate indicator includes students in the class of 2024, as well as students from the prior cohort. We refer to them as late grads from the class of 2023. So if they graduate in 5 years, they're included in this graduation cohort. This excludes students who earn a special education certificate of completion or the California High School Equivalency Certificate or an adult education diploma. So if a student receives one of those 3, they're not considered part of this graduation rate. So as you see, our graduation rate continues to remain high at 95.5%, and this stayed consistent with the last 4 reporting periods. 95.5 overall graduation rate, graduation rate, and maintain a little bit under a negative 0.8%. So used to technology, I'm not used to paper, sorry. Suspension rate. This is the percentage of students suspended for at least 1 day in kindergarten through 12. A student is counted suspended if they're suspended once. It doesn't matter the number of days, just if they're suspended one time, and it doesn't matter the number of suspensions. So if they get suspended once, then they're counted in this the suspension rate. Obviously, the desired outcome is to make sure the suspension rate declines over time. And as you see, we've actually maintained a pretty steady suspension rate, hovering around the mid 2 percentage points. And we continue, I'm guessing we will continue this trend. One of the reasons we have the alternatives to suspension is to make sure we provide alternatives. Instead of sending a student home where they're not getting education, we can provide them counseling and a place to actually receive their work. And then finally, as Dr. Brown talked about, CUSD was highlighted twice in the OC Register article about the California dashboard. We were one of 3 districts that had surpassed pre-pandemic performance in English language arts, and one of 4 districts who have surpassed pre-pandemic performance in mathematics. For me, though, the caveat is we are the largest district in Orange County. Not only in terms of enrollment, but of geography, we're a very diverse district. The fact that our teachers and our principals have been able to scale up support of our students like they have to maintain this growth over time is pretty significant, and they really deserve to be lauded and receive kudos. Last, Dr. Merwin initially referred to differentiated assistance. So anytime, this is part of the California system of support. This designation occurs when a student group receives a red dashboard indicator in 2 or more LCFF priority areas. So as you see for the district, we have had that in 3 categories: mathematics, chronic absenteeism, and suspension rate for foster youth, just for foster youth. So we will be working with the Orange County Department of Ed to kind of do a data analysis, look for the root causes, and then come up with a plan that will be part of the LCAP going forward. And as Dr. Brown talked about, we have next steps, a district-wide focus on consistent implementation of an improved math curriculum, K-8. So we've adopted K-5 and then 6, 7, 8. We've been working diligently, not only providing professional development for teachers, but also for principals on how to support teachers in implementing the curriculum. We're going to continue to meet with teachers and principals to dig more into the LP and find out what the root causes are so that we can make sure that we're supporting our English learners. Develop the differentiated assistance plan for foster youth, which I mentioned, and support sites identified as targeted support and improvement. And then In January, we're going to be presenting a dashboard presentation on our charter schools. And then finally, the English learner data and plan for improvement will be brought in February to the board. With that, I would like to open it to any questions from trustees.
I apologize for stealing your thunder so many times, Dr. Johnson. It's data. I get so excited about data.
It's your prerogative.
Dr. Merwin, Dr. Johnson, thank you. Ms. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards on this item? We do not. With that discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to 15C, certification of the 2024-25 first interim report. May I have a motion to approve the certification of the 2025 first interim report?
Second.
Moved by trustee Bolkus, seconded by trustee Jones. I'd like to recognize Clark Hampton, Deputy Superintendent, Business and Support Services, to present the item.
Lower the microphone a little bit. Thank you, President Davis, trustees. I'd also like to introduce Philippa Townsend, Assistant Superintendent for Fiscal Services. We're gonna tag team on this item. So the reporting cycle for school districts is based on Assembly Bill 1200 that was passed in 1991. And the purpose of it is for school districts to show the state and county offices that they're fiscally solvent. So tonight is the certification of our multi-year projection, our interim report that shows that we can meet our financial obligations for the current and following 2 years. So we are on this part here, 24-25 first interim report. Trustees may remember, some of you from the August meeting, that we did the unaudited actuals where we did share with trustees some of the budget reductions that we had made already for this year. So enrollment, that's one of the big drivers of our funding for school districts is in school enrollment. And you can see from this chart, California overall is seeing a reduction in enrollment since this chart goes from 1974 to current and then projects out. So it shows the increasing enrollment over time, and now we're starting to drop. Capistrano Unified in this chart, it has a very similar look. You can see from 93, 94, significant growth in the district. And then starting at our peak in 2009-10, we peaked at 52,000 students. And then now you can see that we're declining. And the majority of that decline subsequent to 2009-10 is simply the houses that did have students no longer have students in them anymore. The parents are still in the house. The students have gone to school for their 13 years and now they're not in the house anymore. And then you can see how the chart starts to level off. And then that's a majority of that is also the birth rate is declining over the last several years. So that's kind of where we are. So why the decline? So the declining birth rate is a big part of it. The aging of neighborhoods, which I just mentioned. And then decreasing student cohort. So as the larger students that we had in the past move through the system, that bubble moves out, and then each incoming class is smaller. So the overall enrollment declines. We did see some inter-district growth in the school district from the middle grade. So smaller incoming kindergartner classes and TK, larger outgoing 12th grades, but we did see some growth within the school district, people moving in and bringing their kids into the school district. But it wasn't enough to offset the large outgoing seniors and the smaller incoming kindergartners. And then private schools. So we see some private schools also since 2015-16 have been seeing a decline in enrollment. So there's fewer students in California. And there was a small uptick of 50 students that were in private schools, but it's not enough to offset the 2,000 students that we lose in the larger cohorts leaving. So kind of in general, those are like the main 5 things that are impacting our enrollment, which in turn impacts our funding. So the first interim report, I'm now going to turn it over to Philippa Townsend, and she's going to go through the mechanics of building the interim report and some of the assumptions behind it. I'll do that. Thanks.
Back in June of this year, in combination with the adopted budget, Trustees were given a fiscal solvency statement that documented the need to make 15 million in cuts to maintain a 2% required reserve for 24-25, 25-26, and 26-27 fiscal years. The law requires districts to do a 3-year financial projection to allow them time to make adjustments to their budgets. After the approval of the adopted budget, staff began the process of identifying areas to cut that were as far from the school size as it was possible. This process continued with the revised budget presented in August, and with this budget, the goal of a balanced multi-year projection has been achieved. Slide. As the year continues, we will continue to update the budget with new projections from the state in January and in May, and incorporating updated district data such as final enrollment numbers and final attendance numbers. The Legislative Analyst's Office has already warned of lower projections for the 25-26 cost of living adjustment. Next slide. This slide and the next slide contain the assumptions used to develop the first interim budget. These projections come from School Services of California and the Orange County Department of Education. This PowerPoint presentation will be provided to the Orange County Department of Education, which will assist them in conducting their financial oversight of the district before they send our data up to the state. Next slide. As you can see on this slide, our funded average ADA, which is in red, is declining much faster than our enrollment. And that is because the average daily attendance is funded on, for our district, is funded on the 3 prior years of attendance, which is a law that was passed in 22-23 to help districts with the impacts of declining enrollment due to the COVID pandemic.
Thank you, Philippa. So part of the changes in our budget are the one-time money that's now going away. So Philippa just mentioned the 3-year averaging now for our ADA averaging. The impacts, the benefits we had from the COVID years of helping school districts make it through it are now have moved through the system now, just in time for the bird flu. And so this chart shows that the one-time money, as of 25-26 next year, will be all consumed, and all of the other benefits that we've been having from the one-time money will be completed. And those are the programs that were funded. So you can see the chart where they have the top in green was before the pandemic. And then you can see now we're returning to pre-pandemic class sizes and going back to kind of normal operations post-pandemic. So Philippa mentioned the adopted budget in June, where we had a fiscal solvency statement for committing to $15 million in reductions by 25-26. So as she also mentioned, we've started to make cuts earlier. So that's those impacts we've already been beginning to see. So you can see this is why we had to do the fiscal solvency statement, because it shows the red bars in the shaded area, which is the multi-year projection, the current and the following 2 years was below the 2%. So we needed to address that. So this is a brief summary of the reductions that we've identified, early reductions in 24-25 of $5 million, about $5 million in ongoing reductions, about $1.8 million in one time. 25-26, about a little additional $4 million in reductions, and another $1 million in one time, for a total of $9 million in ongoing reductions and $11.9 million in total ongoing and one-time reductions. So now the multi-year projection now looks like this. So we have green bars. We have a 2% reserve going out to 27-28. We always show 1 year post the multi-year projection. And then it shows we have a deficit. We'll continue to deficit spend of about $11 million. And Philippa mentioned the COLAs. So these are projections. These starting in 25, 26, 26, 27, we're using projections for what the cost of living adjustments will be. And we also do projections of what the attendance our attendance percentages will be. And those things will change over time. So in January, when the governor presents his budget, the Department of Finance delivers their revised COLAs. I think it comes out in January. That comes out. They'll give us the revised COLAs and then we'll load those in and present to the board what impact those changes have on these charts. The good news is our attendance has improved significantly, but we're still using the 94%. And then we just hope that the COLA for the out years isn't reduced too much, but that's what the word is, that it will be reduced, which is kind of counter to what the stock market did today, because the Fed said this, if inflation is going to keep going, so you would think the COLAs would keep going, be higher. So we'll see how that pans out.
Everyone is using projections, right? So the COLA is just a calculated number based on certain fiscal indicators that are gathered throughout the year. So that's why it's a projection. That's why we don't know what it is, because they don't have the final quarter of those fiscal numbers to then make the COLA. And then obviously the state can choose to fund COLA, which is what it usually chooses to do.
Right.
Choose to fund more than COLA, can choose to fund less than COLA, but COLA is just a really calculated number. And we've said 15 million a few times, but if you think you're like, but that was 11.9, why is it 15? Because 15 million was if we did not do any cuts until the 25-26 school year. By doing some efficiency cuts and removing some contracts from the district and not backfilling people that were leaving, we were able to start early, which gives us a softer landing, but you'll notice those red bars are still deficit spending. So it doesn't mean we stop, it just means we don't have to do as much as fast, because we spread it out over a little bit of time to buy ourselves a graceful way to do it. We were already going to be fine, but this makes it nicer.
Yeah. Okay, so the next update, as we mentioned, will be in January after the governor presents his budget. We'll give a preliminary analysis of that at the board meeting, because it'll come out, then we'll have the board meeting, and then School Services of California has a conference that they go through the details of the proposal. And then the sausage making happens in Sacramento after that, all the way up until May, when the governor and the legislature work on the budget. And so the next report after January will be the second interim report, which will be very similar to this, an update on how our outlook is on March 12th, 2025. And that's our financial performance up till January 30th. Just like tonight, it's as of October 30th. And so that's the cutoff points. Okay, so staff recommends approval with a positive certification of the first interim report. And we will take any questions if you have any questions for us.
Have any speaker cards on this item? There are none with that. Trustees?
I have more of a comment than a question. Being a new trustee, I understand from a meeting I had with Dr. Brown that the previous board had a budget workshop in August where you dove into all of this and even some of these budget reductions.
Right.
Did you guys dive into that? Okay, so we had discussed doing something similar for Trustee Zollinger and myself. So we're hoping that will happen, and we look forward to that.
Yes, we will host a board briefing for the two of you that will redo everything we did from that public board workshop.
Okay, thank you.
It's my favorite subject I'm talking about. Okay. Any other questions? All right, yes.
So I'm interested in knowing what the UTK add-on is, what that's all about and how it's figured out. And that's back several slides.
So the universal TK, which is the
Wait, yeah, I think
The-
one more back.
I think it's one more, yeah. The $3,077 right here. So that's the extra funding that the state's providing to help school districts implement universal TK.
Okay.
What's
so
this
this
T, the T
doesn't-
stand for?
Uh,
Transitional kindergarten.
this doesn't change with the increase or the reduction in class size, right? They were giving us this amount prior to that change. So this
Yeah.
is, okay, all right, so they're just funding that, okay. Then the other question I had was on the lottery, the unrestricted versus the Prop 20 ADA, what those are. I think that is the next slide. Yes, they're at the top.
So the lottery, so What's your question about?
What is unrestricted and what is Prop 20?
Okay, so when the lottery first began, I think it was in the 80s, all the funding that went to schools was unrestricted. And then in 2000, Prop 20 passed, and that said that 50% of the funding, 50%, right, has to be for restricted uses, restricted instructional materials.
Okay,
And
so
so-
books and supplies.
So it's split.
And everything else is unrestricted?
Yes.
The lottery money? Okay.
Mhm. And that amount represents about 2% of the school district's entire
Right,
budget.
it's not much. I was not aware of that issue and I just wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Additional questions or comments? Okay, and with that, all those in favor?
I,
And that passes with a vote of 5-0-2. Trustee Castellanos is not in the dice. Okay, we're moving on to consent calendar. Please note, per board policy 9323, in accordance with law, the public has a right to comment on any consent item. At the request of any member of the board, any item of the consent agenda shall be removed and given individual consideration for action as a regular agenda item. Each speaker is allotted between 1 and 3 minutes per item, depending upon the number of individuals who present a request to speak. Ms. Hayes, do we have any speaker cards on the consent? We have none. And with that, is there anyone that would like to pull these items?
I'd like to pull 20A, the board meeting schedule.
Okay. Trustee Jones will be pulling 20A. Okay, and do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar items 17A through 20C with the exception of 20A pulled by Trustee Jones?
Second.
Okay, moved by Trustee Volkis and seconded by Trustee Jones. Okay. All right, and this is a roll call vote.
Student Board Member Miranda.
Aye.
Trustee Adams.
Aye.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Castellanos, this is a vote on consent.
Aye.
Trustee Davis.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Pritchard is absent. Trustee Zollinger.
Aye.
And with that, I'd like to, one of our items is the retirements, and I just wanted to highlight a few of our employees. Susan Arlissi, who's a manager 2 of HR, and she's been with CUSD for 27 years. And Cheryl Dorr, as school clerk 2, and she's been with CUSD for 24 years. Patricia Novomilsky, she's a middle school campus supervisor, and she's retiring after 8 years of service. And Deborah Wolwing, our educator 4, and she's retiring after 18 years of service. I'd like to recognize those retirees and thank them for their service. Okay. And let's move on back over to 20A. Trustee Jones.
So, it was brought to my attention that the December meeting, let's see, comes on the 17th, which is similar to what it is this year, and it's just sort of late in the year and awfully close to the holidays. Now, in an election year, we have to meet later on because we can't swear in trustees until I forget the date, but in any event, next year's not an election year, and I would like to consider, and this is, if this is a burden on staff, I don't want to make a big deal out of it, because I think it's, my concern is somewhat more of a convenience to trustees. Some of us have college students who might be coming home and we're gonna go on trips with them, or other families coming and going, depending on holiday schedules in other parts of the country. So I just thought perhaps it could be December 10th instead of the 17th. And then I have a similar concern with the January and February. They're both on a Wednesday after a Monday holiday. I want to be very, very clear. If this is a problem for staff, I don't want to do it because there's more staff members than there are trustees. But I know that sometimes this is an issue for trustees who want to travel over a 3-day weekend or such. There's a lot of board prep, and just for them to be able to enjoy those holidays when all of the rest of you are off doing it and we are slaving at home.
Also, one thing to consider is the November 19th meeting, then it's followed by a week of vacation, and then coming back, that gives.
Yes, staff would have a couple of comments. So the December, so I guess Trustee Jones, just make sure I'm hearing a proposal that December 17th would be moved to December 10th due to the lateness in the month of December. That January 21st would be moved to January 28th to avoid the conflict with the short week that is that week, and February 18th be moved to February 25th for that same reason that the Monday of the February 18th week is a holiday.
Or the second Wednesday instead of the third, whatever is fine.
Yeah, so I would say that the December 10th is particularly challenging for staff, given that November 19th is a board meeting, and then you have Thanksgiving week off. And so to prep things like the first interim budget report in that shortened timeline, especially if we then move January to January 28th, then the long gap in business. So of course, the schedule is completely at the prerogative of the board.
Of course.
I think staff would be amenable to moving the January and the February dates out to avoid the conflict with the 3-day weekend. So moving January 21st to 28th, moving February 18th to February 25th, I think does not pose a problem. I think that's fine. The December 17th to December 10th can of course be done, but is far more challenging for staff.
No, and I don't want to inconvenience the staff on this because I don't think it's that big a deal. But I've always had an issue with the Wednesday after a Monday, and we got our questions in on Monday, and you're not here on Monday. To rush to get our questions answered, and it just always seems like a mess.
So the only thing I will also say is this is more for Deputy Superintendent Clark Captain. January 28th is usually a week that I am at a state superintendent's conference. So that might be a board meeting that you have to see over as the acting superintendent. So I think you guys can, he's been interim before, you guys can handle that without me for that particular meeting. So the new schedule as proposed, if I'm understanding this, so far, December would stay the same, January would move to the 28th, February would move to the 25th. Are there any other concerns with the schedule?
Yes, I'd also like to see about moving the August meeting to August 13th. Which would give staff an opportunity to be more in the classroom that first week of school.
So the new proposed schedule would read in 2025, the meetings for the 25-26 school year would be July 16th, August 13th. Any comments from staff on August 13th? I think it's fine. Yeah. September 17th, October 15th with an optional workshop on the 29th, November 19th, December 17th, January 28th, 2026, February 25th, 2026, March 4th for workshop, March 18th, April 22nd, May 6th, May 20th, and June 10th. And of course, the board can always choose to add additional workshops throughout the year, but this would be the posted schedule. Does that say like it handles the August, January, and February?
It certainly does for me, but if you wanted to think about it to the next meeting and bring it back in a month, this is not until July. None of these dates are, the first date is in July, so we've got time. And so that's something we could do too, if staff would like to think about it more. I don't think any of these are like earth shattering, but.
Yeah, I think staff is fine with the newly proposed. If there are more trustees that want us to look at more dates, then I would propose pulling the item entirely, so that we can republish and do in January. But if we just want to move the August, January, and February dates, I think we're fine.
August, January, and February.
Your August 20th, you want to do
August 13th.
And that, I believe that was so it wouldn't be right after school started and there's all sort of the chaos.
Yeah, the first day of school is August 19th. So it would have been the day after the first day of school.
Okay.
That is definitely a time where we would like staff to be out at sites providing support. So having it 13th is actually not a bad idea.
So I'm fine with it, but I'm also fine with waiting a month and letting it cook.
Staff, are you comfortable with those changes?
And defer to the superintendent.
For the superintendent, well, the superintendent said it's a go. So ladies, do I have a motion to approve the school board meeting scheduled for July 2025 to June 2026 with the changes as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Okay, moved by trustee Jones and seconded by trustee Castellanos. And the motion carries, all in favor? Aye. Aye. And the motion carries with a call of 6-0-1. Okay, there being no further business with the board, may I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Motion by trustee Castellanos and seconded by trustee Otis. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. And please don't leave, we're not quite finished.
Sorry, we have one more meeting. So this is adjourning this one. We got to open another one.
That's right. Okay, yes,
Yes, the updated dates will be republished as an artifact for the public as well as for the trustees and sent to you.
thank you. And the time is now 9:24 p.m. And we will now be moving to our Facilities Corporation Board meeting. Good evening and welcome to the December 18, 2024 Facilities Corporation meeting at the Capistrano Unified School District Board of Directors. The meeting is now in session. The time is 9:25. And Ms. Hayes, can you please call the roll?
Director Adams.
Here.
Director Bullicus.
Here.
Director Castellanos.
Here.
Director Davis.
Here.
Director Jones. Here. Director Pritchard is absent. Director Zollinger.
Here.
Okay, and we will have the Pledge of Allegiance led by our teacher, Craig Adams. Lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Just like every day in class. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And may I have a motion to adopt the agenda? We have a motion by trustee Bullicus and seconded by trustee Zollinger. Ms. Hayes, can you please call the roll?
Director Adams.
Here.
Trustee Bullicus.
Here.
Trustee Castellanos.
Aye.
We were doing
Aye.
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 Director Davis.
Aye.
Director Jones. Aye. Director Pritchard is absent. Director Zollinger.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0-1 by a roll call vote to adopt the agenda. Adoption of Corporation Resolution number 2024-01, the resolution of the Board of Directors of the Capistrano Unified School District Facilities Corporation holding annual meeting and electing officers of the corporation. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2024-1, resolution of the Board of Directors of Capistrano Unified School District Facilities Corporation holding annual meeting and electing officers of the corporation. Okay, moved by trustee Jones and seconded by trustee Castellanos. Okay, thank you. Ms. Hayes, can you please call the roll?
Director Adams.
Aye.
Director Bullicus. It's an aye.
Aye.
Okay. Director Castellanos.
Aye.
Director Davis.
Aye.
Director Pritchard is absent. Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Zollinger.
Aye.
Motion carries with a 6-0-1 by a roll call vote. The termination agreement relating to the termination of certain financing leases and an assignment agreement in connection with the prepayment in full of 2012 certificates of participation. May I have a motion to approve the execution and delivery of the termination agreement in connection with full prepayment of the 2012 certificates of participation? Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, we have, it is moved by trustee Bullicus and seconded by trustee Zollinger. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0-1. Approval of the minutes of the December 6, 2023 Board of Directors meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 6, 2023 Board of Directors meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Castellanos, seconded by trustee Adnan Jones. Thank you. Motion carries. Oh, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0-1. If nothing else, we are now ready for adjourn. There being no further business before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved by trustee Castellanos and seconded by trustee Jones. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0-1 to adjourn the meeting. The time is now 9:28 p.m.